Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Beyond the Veil, a podcast on psychic protection, spiritual hygiene, and navigating the ebbs and flows of the healing journey as you learn to master both your sovereign and shadow selves. My name is Lauren on Earth, your host, and welcome back to this week's episode. As promised, I'm going to get into parasites and the protocol that I've been on, what I've been doing, sharing some of my insights and tips, and just a little bit more information on who these parasites are from a multidimensional perspective. And before we get into that, I feel it all kind of ties together. Let's talk about the eclipses, this crazy month of March that we're all living in, experiencing. It's been quite an intense and wild energy, and there have been some things that have been revealed to me in regard to the battle, the warfare that we're all experiencing. And I want to talk about it because it all ties into the parasites. So the first thing I want to say, and I feel like I have several clients right now who are just expressing the exhaustion, the fatigue, just feeling like beaten down by these dark energies. And I understand it. I've been there. I lived in it for multiple years, right? Where the message was just to keep going, keep going, keep going, like continue to see this through, right? It's almost like an ayahuasca ceremony where there's no turning back, there's no diverting, like the only way out is through. And with these attacks and the not respecting the boundaries and your own personal field and these things attaching and coming in, and also all of the purging, right? It's all part of a process that you chose to experience, that you have to experience. And it's connected to these bigger missions, these bigger initiations that we're all moving through, right? Like if you can, in the middle of an attack, in the middle of, this energy coming in that is super chaotic, very ungrounding. Like, how can you navigate through that with as much love, ease, and embodiment within your heart, within the physical body? It's not easy. And that's what we're learning. We're remembering our power, of course. We're remembering that these are literal nothing parasites that, are truly just lost souls, lost beings that have separated from life force. But it's a test, right? And an initiation in so many ways, because we're now putting everything that we've learned into practice. And that's the initiation, right? It's like we can absorb all the knowledge that we want to. It sounds a lot easier said than done. But then when we're put in the middle of the, warfare, in the middle of the arena where it is this battle of parasitic energies and you being the host, it's not so easy. And I always wish I could say more, right? Of like, this is going to be over tomorrow and I can take this away. And I take away a lot of it. But there are parts of it where you have to be the one ultimately to pull yourself out of it, to grow from it, to learn from it, to dissect it, to understand it, and of course, eventually evolve beyond it. And the timeline it's a divine timeline, right? It depends on our choices, on our free will, how much effort we're putting into this work every day, because it is daily, right? It does sometimes consume us, and it's going to shift, right? Like, we chose to be here during a very, very pivotal time in Earth's history. This is not the first time on this planet, another planet, that we've done this. So I understand a lot of us are tired and over it. And I get that, because I'm over it too. I have no bandwidth for these parasitic energies anymore. But for a very long time, it was warrior mode, head first, as fearless as I can be through the pursuit of this underworld journey. And even now, especially these past few months, there's just this underlying fear, deep fears that, the darkness is going to try to unalive me, try to hurt me. Like, they're very, very deeply rooted in us. And, looking back now after getting the immunity, I'm like, oh, that was just the beginning. It's like you're fighting for your sovereignty. You're moving through these very difficult energies for however long, and then they can't get to you anymore. But it opens up this whole new ballpark of stuff that was there before, right? That they were trying to stop you from accessing. Lots of traumas, beliefs, distortions, but it's a different type of energy. Like, it's liberating, right? Once you get past those attacks, where every time you clear, I feel like I just lose 100 pounds, and I'm still clearing and still working through things. And it's very deep, but it's, in a bit of a safer container and a safer space now. So before we get into parasites, I first want to talk about what these eclipses have shown me and what's going on with the fear matrices and the archonic forces that are at play right now. And again, it's not just the States. This is just where I live, where I was born, and where I just traveled to. So, apply it to your own country if you feel like the same thing is happening there, which I do believe it is in Europe, in Canada. And yeah, that's really all I've been so much tuned into. So the eclipse, I can't talk today, was intense. As you guys probably know, I was back in the States for a few days and just really felt the heaviness and the intensity of the false matrix. And it was showing me what's going on with the AI. You guys know I'm really vocal about Elon Musk and what I think he's doing. And well, I'm noticing the change that it's creating in our world. And that was very, very, very clear. The false matrix is this artificial, inverted overlay on reality. So you have your base reality and then this imprint, this artificial imprint over it. It's a control system that pretty much distorts humanity's perception of time, identity, divinity, and free will. And I think I shared this somewhere. I don't remember who I tell what and if it's on the podcast, but in my very last ayahuasca ceremony, right a few months after the retreat. So this was the worst. I mean, the worst and the best, because it freed me, but it was really, really hard to go through. And the very last ceremony, I'm in front of God and I'm creating this new contract. And I'm going to tell this story in probably part 3. The next episode is going to be my truth on what happened on that retreat and with that woman from start to finish. But there were some other things going on as well on that retreat of forced twin flame timelines, a lot of distortion. And so on top of purging this cult, I'm also trying to purge these false timelines that other people got caught up in that were trying to bring me into that mix. And with God, I'm like, this is not my path. I do not want this. I do not choose this, and I was sitting before God and creating this new contract, or, bringing vitality to the contract that I feel like was always mine, because this other path never was. And God was basically explaining to me that, you're for as long as you've been on this planet, and I've had, over 500 lifetimes that have all been tied to this cult. There's been darkness, there's been brutality, there's been torture, there's been pain in almost all of my Earth lifetimes, because I made the agreement to be connected to this cult from start to finish. So my energy was tied to everything that they did so I can clear it when the time comes, and the time is now. And I was just being explained that I've never really had free will. I don't know what that really feels like because I've always had this karmic tie to them and this karmic tie to another woman who lives here in Tulum that all came out this season. And I will do an episode where I tell this story because it's such an amazing learning experience. It's not even for me to share the lore, because I feel like my lore is very entertaining if you're a close friend of mine and know the ins and outs of the craziness of all the things that come into my field and the things that I work through. But I don't even know this woman. And we had a huge karmic contract where I want to save the story because it's really fascinating. But basically where she was using my energy to do this dark magic, and I was accumulating the karma because she was using my energy. So, the karmic contracts that we have with these people that we don't even realize are affecting us, right? And I've also had a lot of clients lately who have been involved in destiny swaps and projecting others' karma onto them. So I've been even deeper in understanding karmic law. But basically, the whole point of sharing the story about the ayahuasca was you've never really had free will. You don't understand what that is. And now you have this opportunity to really understand the power of your own choice. And that was a pivotal moment for me where I'm wow, this whole concept of you're the creator of your reality. Yes, but you're also a co-creator with God. It's not one or the other, it's both. But my free will and my ability to create has always been tainted by this darkness. And now that's not, after 500 plus lifetimes, not a thing anymore. And so, yeah, the world is my playground, because I can finally make choices free of distortion and really allow myself to be the creator. And the understanding the power of your own choice was something that just really struck me in that moment. So this artificial system, this archonic system, the false matrix, different names for the same thing. But as we know, just a refresher, the organic and divine matrix is based on unity, coherence, and direct connection to source. And then you have, the false matrix that is designed to disconnect, to entrap you in karmic cycles. It operates on a multi-layered architecture of mind control, emotional manipulation, energetic distortion, and illusion. And this system is embedded not only in societal structures like education, media, religion, the finance and banking system, every system. We have a collective system, but also in the subtle energetic planes, including the DNA, which is within us, the collective unconscious, the astral realms. It functions through many different dimensions, not just the first, second, third. It's all the way fourth, fifth, and sixth, and even into the seventh dimension. So it functions through our bodies. It's very deep in our bodies, and of course, as well, our society, right? So when I shared that reel of, hey, there's a lot of black magic coming in that is anchoring you into the first dimensional fear and survival matrix, that's happening within your system. It's not separate. It's not outside. So it functions through implants, beliefs, trauma loops, false light teachings, and artificial timelines, creating this reality that feels real, but is fundamentally out of alignment with the divine blueprint of life. At the core of this construct are beings known as the Archons, whose name comes from the first time Gnostic texts, the Nag Hammadi scriptures, long time ago. They are the top dogs is what I call them. And the first time I ever discovered them, I was on the phone with my friend. If you guys have listened to past episodes, this is the friend that I learned the Akashic with, and we would read for each other every day, every week. And we're sitting on the phone. This is my first year in Tulum. And I'm like, okay, I know that the reptilians are just puppets. Like, they are working for someone. We don't know their name. Who are they? And she's like, I don't know, but it starts with an A. And that was like my first clue and my first hint to who the top dogs are in this realm. And, a couple weeks later, the name came to me, Archon. So I've been, learning them, navigating the complexity of their intelligence and clearing it out of myself and clients as well. And they are basically they're inorganic. It's like the Greys, right? But like much more intelligent, much more evolved. So this inorganic, artificial intelligence, or you can look at it like an interdimensional parasite that cannot create anything on its own and therefore must feed and siphon off others. So they are connected to the false creator God, who mistook himself for the source of all creation. Which maybe is the Elohim, which maybe is Yahweh, maybe it's all connected. We're going to keep going, you guys. I'm honestly taking you all on a journey through these courses and through the podcast episodes that are coming out. So just bear with me. Like, all of this is going to start to make sense, but I'm, slow drip of this information because it's a lot to take in at once. So, there's a plan ahead, and by the end of the year, all of the knowledge, all of the information is going to be in your hands. If you want it, great, amazing, thank you. And if you don't, I get it. It's a lot, and you got to, take it in strides. So they inhabit the lower astral and the mental planes, and then the higher dimensions. But of course, they're connected to the very pit, right? Like the Antichrist. So, but in the lower astral and the mental planes, they can influence human thought, beliefs, behaviors. They masquerade as benevolent beings to gain trust and spiritual authority. Elizabeth April fell victim to this, leading people into false light traps where sovereignty is surrendered in exchange for emotional highs or the illusion of enlightenment, which most big name spiritual people are caught in that web right now. And a lot of healers too that don't have as big of a following. So the Archons play a central role in maintaining the false matrix. I also call it the archonic system, the antichrist system. I guess the antichrist system and the archonic system are different, but the false matrix, like the false light, that's the archons, to ensure that human consciousness remains fragmented, externally focused, just trapped in loops of mind control and illusion. And this is the next course that's coming for you guys, the mind control clearing, because this is where the focus needs to be this year, because the warfare is very subtly happening on the mental planes where people aren't even realizing it. So yeah, that's just like the focus that's coming next. But the path to liberation from this system, obviously, it's a lot of clearing, a lot of really deep inner work of deprogramming distorted beliefs, reclaiming soul fragments, healing trauma, restoring the connection to organic source consciousness, and dismantling all energetic agreements with entities and systems that do not serve the highest truth. This machine, the archons, because to me, I see it as a computer program, as a machine, this AI, it's distortion and code that's coming into our atmosphere and then anchoring us down into the first dimensional matrix. So this is what I see happening right now. So I saw it first as black magic just over the entire country. I described it in my reel like laser tag, right? It's like in every which direction, these energies, you can't, like, you're just walking right through it. You can't be separate from it unless you are protected. And so I would witness myself in my light, and the light was strong, even though I didn't feel my best when I was there. Also, Denver was so dry. I know it's dry. I know it's very high up from sea level. I've lived there on and off for 5 years. I come back and forth all the time. Never in my life have I experienced it that dry. So I don't know what more is going on there with the weather. All of my friends said it wasn't normal. My med spa facial girl said that it is normal for this time of year, but oh my gosh, I felt like SpongeBob in the episode with Sandy. I could not catch a breath. It was crazy. So I saw the black magic, but then I saw more going on, and I'm like, okay, this is pulling us down, down, down. Where is this pulling us down to? And, coupled with all this fear that I'm feeling, this lower dimensional energy, like I've been really, really deep in my own work. The clearing of the parasites has been like, just, it has to go in tandem with the energy work. Because as I'm purging the dark order out of my system, which I did. So in this Tulum season, I cleared a huge part of my contract with the distorted masculine and attracting these partners that are addicts, and like light beings that are just like so lost. I mean, enough with the Scorpio stellium for me. The next time I see that in a chart, I need to run for my own sake. But a big part of that cleared, and then my contract with black magic cleared. So I no longer, the very first time that I decided I was going to work with manipulation and black magic, the contract was created, right, between me and this energy, this agreement that was presented to me after I cleared all the masculine distortion. And I was like, yeah, let's clear this. I didn't even know this existed. And, at that time, there was this woman, and I'm going to talk about her in the next episode, because she was part of, my descent into the underworld, right? When I met the other woman, and she was telling some of our friends that I'm doing black magic on her, and we're in this womb war. And I'm like, well, that's news to me. Like, I haven't lifted a finger on her. I never even thought like that was an option for me to like fight back with black magic. Like, never crossed my mind. And I just, I was just purging her, and I thought I had cleared her all back in 2023. I worked with a shaman to do that. And what I didn't realize was that I cleared the sorcery that she used on me in that lifetime. And maybe I'll just tell the story here, but yeah, my business wasn't doing well. The abundance was really not flowing in. Like, I had openings like the next day, when normally I was used to being booked out like at least a week or two. And so when I found out that she was a sorceress, it was all happened the same day. Found out she was a sorceress. She was using black magic on me. She was very skilled. She had learned this in past lifetimes, and it was affecting my business. And so my friend happened to be getting a house clearing from this Marakame that I've worked with for many years here that evening. And I was like, I'm coming over. I need him to do the crystallization on me. Like, I need this black magic out of me. And so we did the crystallization. I had a $2,000 website design project fall into my lap the next day. And I had 8 bookings within 24 hours of this black magic being removed from this woman. And I was just, healing from it in other ways since. But this season in Tulum, I spent a lot of time with mutual friends. I don't know if they're really her friends. They know her. They're my friends. We all met together, but they know who she is, and were just sharing with me like, yeah, she said some not nice things about you. And it was a while ago, but it was like all coming back in this lifetime, or in this season of Tulum, this crazy high season that I had. And I'm clearing more. Like there were issues with my apartment, my Airbnb. Like there was an entity in there, and it was all connected to her because there was a whole thing that happened our second season in Tulum together with our living situation and lots of chaos. But it was her chaos that I was like swept into, you know? And so it was just like, yeah, she thinks, you know, she's telling people that you're in a womb war. I'm like, what, a womb war? Like, I'm not a participant in it. Like I'm out, you know? And around that time, or right before all of this, the black magic contract was presented to me of like, you don't need this anymore. So if I'm actively using black magic, how would I have been able to clear this contract? Because the only reason I was able to clear the contract is because I am done with it. I've not used it in this lifetime. And it was, you know, I passed the initiation of like, I am, dedicated to the white light, the magic of white light, right? That is my thing, my path. So explain that one to me, please, of how it can be both. So cleared the black magic contract, which was huge. And then I cleared the contract with the dark order because I was feeling all of these fear templates in me, like all of this really dark energy going back to the States and seeing all of this happening on a collective level, and then seeing it also happen within me where I'm like, oh, I'm also still tied to the lower dimensions. Like I haven't fully cleared the dark order from my system. So I spent a lot of time, and it's done, you know, in the astral, but my body is still clearing it. So these were 3 really huge things that I worked on, all while on a parasite cleanse and getting this out of my body. So I want to talk about first the first dimensional matrix and what that is, and then we'll get into the parasites. The first dimensional matrix is the foundational layer of existence within the multi-dimensional structure of reality. So it represents the most basic and primal level of consciousness and is often described as, or I guess I'll describe it, like often described by who? Me? Who, you know, my team that shared this information with me, but just like pure density. Pure density and like atomic structure. So unlike higher dimensions that hold complex awareness and duality and sentience, the first dimension just operates with just dense energy, like no polarity, emotion, ego, just core essence of physical matter. And it also anchors in the energetic blueprints of creation into form. And this matrix, yes, there's interference with it, but it does govern like the crystals, the metals, the minerals, bones, right? If you've ever felt a purge happening from your bones, right? And how sometimes it feels like, it's like, I feel like I got hit by a bus, like every bone in my body hurts. That's your bones clearing and purging and releasing distorted energy or trauma or whatever it is. And basically this dimension kind of acts as the structural base for all of the higher dimensional experiences. It holds the vibration of stillness, of stability, and sacred presence, and a deep-rooted connection to like the planets and the cosmos. So there's a lot of benefit to this matrix, right? This first dimensional matrix. It's not all dark and distorted, but that also exists there too. But it makes sense why they are rooting us into like the foundation, and getting to this dimension through us, through our bodies. And within us, within our bodies, we also carry the first dimensional matrix as well, both the distorted and the organic, right? Which is really meant to just be this root anchoring system associated with the base of the spine, the skeletal system, and also like our cellular memory and plays a crucial role in providing the energetic stability and physical coherence required to house the multidimensional self. So it also links us to the Earth's core consciousness. And it does, when it's in its pure form, serve as this portal to the memory fields, the crystalline grids. It allows the human light body to ground into the Earth's organic timeline and maintain this energetic balance and embodiment. However, that's not what's happening right now. There's an interference, right? The false matrix system has distorted this layer through the AI, the sorcery, all the things they're doing through the artificial intelligence, but also through trauma, through ancestral imprinting. But really, it's the inorganic interference, which manifests as survival, fear, disconnection from the body, disconnection and instability in the nervous system. So we have to get this distortion out of our bodies, and then we can really reconnect and heal the first dimension within us and within the planet, which involves restoring our relationship with the earth and stabilizing the body temple and clearing these artificial distortions that are compromising our ability to feel safe, supported, and anchored in divine presence. So the 1D fear and survival matrix, which is what I've been talking about and where the focus is going to be for the group psychic surgery coming up, is a distorted overlay on the first dimensional matrix. This structure, this construct that manipulates the most primal aspect of human existence: survival, security, and physical embodiment. So while the organic first dimension is a neutral realm of density, of elemental intelligence and grounding, the fear and survival matrix is an inverted version of this foundation, installed through collective trauma and interdimensional manipulation to keep us trapped in fight or flight states, disconnected from the earth, and in these instinctual, that almost feel normal to most people, fear-based responses. It represents the lowest vibrational band of the false matrix system, anchoring us into this reality where physical survival is threatened, scarcity is normalized, and safety is, like externalized, like this false sense of safety that so many people, like they really think the system is safe and outside of it is not, and it's so backwards. So this matrix is like deeply, deeply encoded in our root chakra, in our nervous system, in the genetic code, in our cellular memory. And it often originates from ancestral trauma, the war consciousness, the persecution, the famine, the poverty, colonization, systemic violence. I mean, look at our history. Like, it has been brutal and it's been dark, so it's reinforced by these societal structures that emphasize the control, the scarcity, the competition, the capitalism, the religion, the global economic dependency. And so we're all feeling that so strongly right now. And that's because they're amplifying that, they're highlighting it, and they're blocking us from being able to raise our consciousness even more. Here, they're starting here in Mexico, but in the States, it's like people are not able to expand their consciousness right now. And it's, like, I want to say it's scary, but at the same time, like, this is what we signed up for, and we knew it wasn't going to be just like we wake up and then they're kicked off, like it's a journey. And this is part of our soul evolution and soul growth, to come in here, to be in the mission, and to clear this out of our own system, and then, helping others along the way, if that's your calling, or, going on and continuing to do what you're doing. But we all need to be focused on this right now and not just letting it happen, not just being like, well, what am I going to do about it? I'm, stuck here in the States or in Canada or whatever. It's like, no, we can use what's being projected to us and mirrored to us as an opportunity to keep going with the clearing. So the 1D fear matrix is basically maintained through frequency manipulation, media, EMFs, survival programming, trauma loops, the frequency waves they're projecting out to us, spraying the skies. Like, guys, that fog had parasites and all this tech that we're breathing in. That technology is now in our body, and it's sustained by implants and seals and these inorganic technologies that tether, like, bind the soul to these synthetic timelines and prevent full embodiment in the physical vessel. So I guess I'll just share some like symptoms. I mean, you'll know intuitively, like if I'm speaking to you right now, right? But like chronic anxiety, chronic fear, adrenal fatigue, heaviness, disassociation from the body, compulsive survivalism, just like these thoughts where, you're just deep in the thoughts, emotional shutdown. And, some of these might be genetically passed down, but also could, really be highlighted this eclipse these past few months. So yeah, we're all affected by this. Like, we just need to work hard to purge this from our systems. I hope that I am a, living, breathing example that this is possible, because I'm doing it. So if I'm doing it, you can do it too. Because as within, so without, as above, so below. It's inside of us all, and it's not just external. So if you want to work on this, join me for a group psychic surgery. We'll begin to dismantle and remove all of these energies. You will all get a recording to keep playing it, keep moving through it, keep clearing, right? It's not just a one-time thing. So everyone's going to get the recording. And, when I just did this for myself a couple of weeks ago, I'm telling you, like, I looked at a video that I recorded yesterday of myself, and I'm like, wow, I'm literally a different person after clearing all this stuff out of my system. And this parasite cleanse that I've been doing has been phenomenal. I'm excited to share that with you guys next. But TMI, I passed a worm that was probably like 9 or 10 inches long. Ugh. And I'm telling you, like, it was a literal demon living in my body, because I am a different person now, and it's insane. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the parasites, the physical demons in our bodies. That is the same energy that we are trying to fight off in the astral and spiritual realms. Let's just call it what it is. They are the physical expressions or manifestations of deeper energetic or spiritual and spiritual imbalances, including demonic interference, entity attachment, and just the dark order, the dark consciousness. If we're looking at it from a biological perspective, parasites, right? These physical parasites are opportunistic organisms, as are the parasites out in the ethers. They feed off the host's life force, nutrients, blood, energy, most of the time without killing the host directly. So this parasitic dynamic, it mirrors the behavior of demonic and service to self entities, who also feed, as we know, off of the energy, vitality, the emotions, or the light of the soul, without often the host knowing. And even once they do, they're very hard to actually get rid of. So parasites and demons share this similar energetic pattern. They're both manipulative. They rely on compromised weakness, disconnection in the host. So physical parasites, like, do I view them as lower dimensional extensions? Yes. Physical parasites can also be manifestations of unresolved energetic patterns like shame, scarcity, guilt, disempowerment, sexual trauma. So when the energy stagnates or becomes inverted, it can lower the body's vibrational immunity as well as the physical immunity, making you more susceptible to invasion and to things hide in there. So as I keep saying, your energetic hygiene is just as important as the physical. So when clearing parasites, you will need to detox energetically, just, as I've been sharing that I've been doing and what's been coming up for me. Or the parasites might not actually die and leave the body, right? So for example, I have a lot of fear that I'm moving through. And this is deep rooted fear of like lifetimes where I've been like hunted by these dark beings. And it's like, okay, I'm back here now. I'm loud. I'm sharing this information that is clearly, a threat. Like, am I safe? Right? Even though I know that I am, but there's parts of me that don't know that. And it's very, very deep, deep, deep fears. And if I was not clearing those fears, that energetic overlay, these templates in my body, the parasites might not die because they are also rooted in that energy of fear. So they both have to be expelled together. I'll talk about this more in a moment, but just want to I guess before we get any farther, preface by saying that I am not a detox expert. I've only been, doing this for a little over 10 years, but I'm not an expert. I'm not giving full and complete advice or guidance. This is not a protocol that I'm giving you, but just sharing what worked for me and the knowledge I've picked up along the way. As well as, obviously getting into what the parasites really are, you need to do additional research. Okay. Take what I'm saying and apply it to your own life and muscle test, get clear on what's going to work best for you. My first piece of advice is that we all need to be detoxing constantly, physically and energetically. So there are many dark agendas, right? The vaccines, the nanotechnology, the mold, the yeast, the heavy metals, pesticide poisoning, the GMO, the satanic ritual sacrifice. This is making me blah, but we're going to keep our spirits high because everything is okay. This is the nature of the world that we incarnated into because we're here to change it, right? So we need to see it, right? But these things are constantly coming at us, this technology in our air, food, soil, and water. They're trying to block the light, and our cells need the light, which is why I also love using the LifeWave patches because it's helping to refract our own light back to us to produce these new cells that aren't sick or carrying the energy of all of the above. So this is, my belief. I'm not saying this is absolute, but it just sounds resonant to me, right? Like these physical parasites in our bodies are interdimensional parasites. They are these disembodied Nephilim and demonic spirits that I've been talking about in the previous episodes of dissecting ancient text. These parasites are extremely harmful to us. They siphon our energy. They carry the energy of death and decay. And some parasites are even genetically engineered, and they then release them into the public, or they send them to us psychically. And we all know an example of this. Hello, 2020. This is their way to continue to wage war on us from inside of our bodies. I've heard a few times some healers and other alternative medical professionals say they believe parasites are at the root of every disease or illness, including illnesses like Lyme, MS, endometriosis. I believe this, for the most part, although I don't like to speak in absolutes unless it is a full resonance in my body, like the fact that Yahweh is not the one true God. But I do believe it because maybe not parasites, but the dark energy, the bad energy is the root of all of it. So whether it's, parasites, or you you might not have parasites, but you might have distorted templates or like disease coding in your body, you know? So it's one or the other. It's the same thing. It's the bad energy, you know? So if you don't have this stuff in your body, you'll be in pretty good health. I healed my chronic illness by removing this dark energy, right? So it worked, whether it's physical, energetic, or both. You've got to clear the parasites from the physical body, from your mind, from your consciousness. So the more evidence shown, the clearer it is that the parasites in our body, all stemming from the same evil source, are these shapeshifters, and they embed themselves. They hide, they're smart, they know when you're trying to clear them, they hide in the tissues, they mimic human cells, they respond and attack when their livelihood is threatened. They're smart. So when you're cleansing parasites, they can sometimes go dormant or move locations or trigger emotional reactions that derail the cleansing process, like make you want to stop cleansing. And this is an intelligence that is responsive, defensive, and also strategic, which is far beyond, you know, the normal workings of just like a microscopic organism. So when I call them shapeshifters, I mean, like they can lodge themselves not just into the gut or into the bloodstream, but also into the nervous system, the brain, the womb, the heart field, the auric layers, the chakra system. You know, some can take on the form of emotional parasites, feeding on unprocessed grief and shame and trauma. And others are also linked to behavioral loops, including addiction and procrastination and compulsive thoughts, sexual trauma and distortion, confusion there. So the parasite is not just physical, it's psychic, and it operates as part of a larger entity-based consciousness system that thrives off the fragmentation and fear and disempowerment, all the same stuff. So yeah, the same system that I started this episode talking about, the archonic system, the Orion and Draco control grid, the AI infected false matrix. In the parasites, we battle in the body are really just the manifestations of this deeper anti-life force, this distorted intelligence that thrives only through manipulation and inversion. So yeah, not just in the body, but it's in the systems of the world. But we clear it from the systems of the world by clearing it within our body. So it's not just a physical detox, it is spiritual warfare. It requires preparation of the body and the field, the mind. Obviously, in addition, the restoration of sovereignty, the release of these unconscious agreements, and the calling in of pure source frequency to get to the root access point, which can be emotional, it can be a belief, it can be ancestral trauma, past life betrayal, soul fragmentation, karmic contracts, or a little bit of a lot of things. So to truly clear these entities, we have to work on all four planes and detox through all four systems. So when cleansing, you will likely, have cravings for sugar, weed, alcohol, even have these spiritual highs, strange dreams, intrusive thoughts. Psychic attacks can intensify when you begin the deep parasite clearing work. Just a sign that you're getting closer to their root and that you're moving into true sovereign territory. So keep going. They also hide in the biofilm, which is this complex, structured community of organisms that are basically like encased in this matrix of like slimy goo-like substance that adheres to surfaces and protects the parasites from external threats. So the biofilm's really hard to penetrate. I've still not gotten there, and I've been working at it since December. So, you gotta kind of, you gotta kind of, I don't know why I'm at a loss for words right now, but switch it up, multiple protocols. You do this protocol for a bit, you give yourself a little break, then you kind of switch it up with different herbs, and you just keep coming at it from all angles, and it's just layer by layer by layer. And parasites are everywhere. We can't avoid contact. Every human and animal has parasites, and the best means of defense really is a pure biofield, which we're all working on energetically, sovereign field, and a clean alkaline diet and a strong immune system. It has to become a lifestyle. You can't be going out and, eating whatever and partying and doing these parasite cleanses. I mean, I've, had my fair share of events that I needed to go to. But it was, it's a little hard to, some days you're not feeling well. And so, it's not, don't live your life and don't go enjoy your life and don't put this off just because you don't want to give up some things. Because I mean, if that's where your mindset's at, then, you're still in the matrix and you want to be there, common symptoms of having parasites, especially if you've never cleansed before, you likely do. And even if you have cleansed before and just did like an over-the-counter 2-week thing, you probably still do. Acne, allergies, autoimmune dysfunction, bloating, cancer, chronic fatigue, constipation, just like immune system being really shot, you keep getting sick. Any bowel issues, epilepsy. Oh my gosh, I had a client who had epilepsy, and I looked into her body and there were just worms everywhere, just on top of each other, just like eating at her system. It was really, really hard to see. And, anyway, so epilepsy, worms, there's a connection there. Excessive hunger and thirst, joint issues, joint pain, grinding the teeth at night, bad breath, inflammation, lack of mobility, like stiffness. That's a really big one as well. Menstrual problems. Yeah, the list kind of goes on. Skin problems, sleep disturbances, weight gain or loss. So yeah, that's just, there's probably a very long list, but these are just a few that I am thinking of. So I'll tell you now more about the protocols that I'm doing. I'm still in trial and error, but I'm actually feeling really good about everything I've done so far. I feel like this protocol that I've been on recently, I'm like, okay, this is it. This is what I've been working for. So again, am I doing this perfectly? No. Am I doing this and sharing this like a proper detox specialist who trained and studied? No. So please hear me when I say that. This is just what I've done with the research, with the 10 years of detox experience, and with my knowledge of the multi-dimensional planes and the dark forces. I really recommend going to a detox specialist who can guide you or do a lot of research and be intuitive about it. Muscle tests, which protocols to follow or what to mix. I will share the woman who's been doing my lymphatic system massages and has really helped me with these first few rounds of parasite cleansing, her information in the show notes. So I did 2 rounds of the same protocol when I started. I pretty much combined ivermectin with taking haritaki powder and black seed oil every day. So I did 3 rounds of ivermectin, 5 days. I think I did 12 milligrams a day. I was juicing a lot. I was eating small amounts of food. I was fasting a lot, no bread. I haven't had proper bread since December, which is sad, but I don't really miss it that much. No carbs, no sweets, no alcohol, mostly veggies, juice, little bit of fruit, little bit of meat. I also did the bioresonance, clearing parasites energetically through frequency twice. So I did 2 rounds of 5. So haritaki and black seed oil, ivermectin, and clearing the parasites through frequencies, as well as a lot of colonics, a lot of enemas, a lot of juicing. Then after about a month of that, I did the Zen Cleanse mucoid plaque cleanse, which flushed a lot out, like everything I had been killing with the herbs and the ivermectin. Now, I was not familiar with mucoid plaque before this cleanse. It's pretty gross. It's this thick, rubbery, mucus-like material that builds up in the inner walls of the colon and intestines. The crazy thing is medicine does not recognize this as real, despite it literally coming out of you and like you can physically see it, but sure. So mucoid plaque is basically this hardened mucus, toxic waste, undigested food, parasites, yeast, environmental pollutants, just building up on the inside of the intestinal walls. Colonics don't get it. The water, the coffee, it's not enough. So this is vital to clear the mucoid plaque. I love the Zen cleanse. It's very effective, very efficient. It's only 1 day of having to consume the enzymes and obviously, multiple days to keep purging it out, but it's really good. And like I said, I did many enemas, many colonics and herbs to keep flushing out, keep moving it out. I can't tell you how much came out of me for someone who's been healthy, vegan, very mindful of their food, organic since 2013, like what was in my body. And I did 3 Zen Cleanse mucoid plaque cleanses in 1 year. So to me, like one just like wasn't enough. But again, right, this cleansing process is really going to be a multi-month long thing. And you'll find your flow with it. Like I'm cruising right now. So before you start, you have to really open up the detox pathways, preparing the body and the field for this work. I'll come back to this in a moment. I think I want to just mention the haritaki and black seed oil combination. Actually, I talked to my massage therapist last night and she was like, well, the haritaki and black seed oil was really to support the liver, like when I was doing that. But honestly, both are anti-parasitic, anti-inflammatory. They do help to dislodge and weaken and expel parasites, both physical and energetic, because of the power and the spirit of the herbs. So I just realized that my mic was, I don't know what happened. This Mercury retrograde for me has been a little brutal. I'm not going to lie. There's been a lot of tech issues that I'm also believe is because of all the EMFs and what they're doing in our atmosphere that's really causing these issues. But hopefully I don't have to go back and re-record that. So where I left off, the haritaki has this laxative effect and helps to clear the colon and dislodge the biofilm, the waste, the parasite nests. It's very bitter, which the parasites do not like, and neither do I, so I get it. And spiritually, the haritaki opens the third eye, and the black seed oil is anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Honestly, it's amazing to take regularly just for strengthening the body's natural defense systems and soothing inflammation. And the ivermectin is this over-the-counter drug. So if you want to go the more natural route, don't do this. But I've heard great things, and it honestly worked really well for me. It's not easy to get in certain parts of the world because it actually works, and it's been demonized. But it basically works to interfere with the nervous system of parasites and binds to them, eventually leading the parasite into paralysis and then death. And it also treats COVID, but they don't want you to know that. So that was round 1 and 2. And now I'm doing round 3, and I'm taking Cell Core's protocol. I should have started with 1, But I started with bundle number 2. I have like the product right here. This stuff is like, oh my gosh. So it's a 1-month protocol. I've been on it for almost 3 weeks now, and I can't believe how great it is. 10 out of 10. So I will continue with Cell Core, and once complete, I'll do another Zen Cleanse mucoid plaque cleanse. The Cell Core does get some mucoid plaque out, but nowhere near as much as Zen Cleanse. And so I will do another round of that and then continue with number 3 and 4 of Cell Core. So that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm basically not going to stop until they're out or pretty much all out of my body. And then I'm really going to work to strengthen the code, the architecture, my blueprint to no longer be a resonant match to parasites. So, probably can't fully be avoided, but really getting myself to the point where nothing inside of me is a match to this demonic energy to live within me, within any part of my body. And, I'm going back to the States. I have to go back, not even because I have the apartment, but it's like I really wish I could stay and hide in Mexico, but I have to go back into the matrix. And it's part of this initiation that I'm on of like, no, this health, like this level of health that you have here in Mexico, and like the level of abundance, like you now have to go be that energy in the matrix. That's your test. You got 6 months, you pass the test, you sell your car, you sell your stuff, and you're out, So I've been working through a lot of fear around that. And it just shows like how afraid I am of the matrix. Like once it's like I really, really saw it from an even deeper level this year. Especially through this eclipse where I'm like, wow, like I'm really seeing it for what it is. It's beyond even what I thought it was. And there's just a lot of fear that I'm still clearing, and I've got to go back into it. It's like you can't escape it. That's the easy route, right? To stay. You have to go, you have to face it, and you have to be love and know that you're going to be safe and work through these fears and master the matrix. And honestly, it was I went on a bachelorette back to Denver, and it was on the eclipse. And I struggled a little bit the first few days of just assimilating back, and it was very heavy, and I was very tired and just struggling mentally. And by the 3rd day, we went to Whiskey Row, if you guys know it, in Denver. It was so on St. Patrick's Day. And it's just a basic, 3D matrix bar of people just drinking and whatever. And I had the best time. And granted, it was because of the people that I was with, but also I'm like, oh, okay, like you can thrive in the matrix. And when you do thrive in the matrix, like the way you disrupt and dismantle it is something else, it like changes something inside you. I know that sounds crazy, but yeah, I got a glimpse into it. So I'm like, okay, like mastering being able to live in this matrix without it harming me. And I went back into photos, of like what I looked like all the times that I lived in Mexico versus how my face would change and my, everything would change going back into the States, and just really seeing the pattern that I knew, but didn't really fully notice before. And so, yeah, the work is going to be like maintaining this light in this, intense, country. So anyway, once you start, you really have to commit because like I said, they are smart. They know you're trying to kill them. They will put up a fight. You really have to make sure that they not only die, but that they leave the body and not kind of get swept back up in the bloodstream. And, then you're kind of building up this toxic waste. So apply the messages that I shared in one of the earlier podcast episodes on parasites and the preparation and the detox, and, really work to start moving some of this backup waste before you even start killing the parasites. So they have some like an actual way to get expelled. Maybe you do start with a Zen cleanse, mucoid plaque cleanse, or you get a few colonics, do a few enemas, start taking herbs to like get that feces moving out. The intestinal broomers that Zen cleanse offers are my favorite. They're the only things that have like truly worked for me, because I, have digestive issues my whole life, and I've tried so many things, and these are the most gentle but most effective. And one last thing, I don't think I shared this yet, but like they do lay eggs, and like hundreds of thousands of eggs. So like the parasites will die, but then they leave their eggs behind. And then, I felt the eggs hatch like right before my second round. I felt them hatch, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I started doing another round of cleansing immediately, got right back on the ivermectin, the Haritaki black seed, and the frequencies with the bioresonance. And then like worms, like they break off as a way to try to stay alive. So you have to be diligent on top of it. If you need rest, you need to dedicate time and energy to this, not forget to take your pills and your medicine. So yeah. I mean, I know it sounds daunting, but it's really not. It's really not, you guys. Like, if I can do it, you can do it. And remember that the parasites, like, they rob us of our vital nutrients and our amino acids, like, needed for digestion. They're feeding themselves first, and then they excrete this toxic waste into our bodies, which poisons us, which suppresses the immune system, leading to degeneration and fatigue and illness, because they destroy cells faster than the cells can be regenerated. And this is, again, why I highly recommend using the LifeWave patches. And I'll add that into the link in the show notes as well, because it's really important to regenerate those stem cells. So like I said, there are multiple stages to this, but you really have to prepare, clean up your body, get an enema bag. What are you eating? Is your food feeding them? Start taking away their food supply before and when you start using herbs. The processed foods, the sugar, alcohol, meat, milk, dairy, the molds, the yeast, and yeah, just like really having the willpower not to cave into the cravings. It definitely does happen sometimes. So, be gentle with yourself. And then when they are weak and your body is a bit cleaner, that's when you go in and get in there and start to get them out. So when you're ready to start the protocol, prepare ahead of time. Schedule your colonics, schedule your lymphatic massages, your sauna appointments, if, at least once or twice a week. You will need to just really be in tune with your body. The reason that I like CellCore is because it contains these two very important things. One is a toxin binder. You need to have a toxin binder, any type of cleansing that you're doing. I was using the binder, which is how I found this company. It's the best binder I've ever used. There is another protocol for getting the mucoid plaque out of the body that a lot of people here in Tulum are doing that just like didn't really work for me. And that's a cabbage and celery juice combination with bentonite clay. It just didn't work. The bentonite clay bloated me, and charcoal is great as well, but it's a little harsh. Like the CellCore biotoxin binder, 10 out of 10. But again, everyone is different. So I recommend muscle testing the product best for your body. And then the CellCore also contains these supplements to repopulate the good gut bacteria, because so many, binders and colonics and going to the bathroom, it's also kind of stripping you of the good bacteria a little bit. And most of the prebiotic pills on the market, supplements, are kind of BS. They never really work for me. It's just a money gimmick grab. So yeah, it's a lot. I know it's heavy, but it is the world that we live in. So yeah, I know that was a lot. I just want to share one more thing just about herxing. It's possible, right? We want to try to avoid that, but it does happen. It's a die-off reaction, a temporary inflammatory response as the body eliminates a large amount of toxins and waste. So, lots of rest, drinking clean water is important, making sure that you have a proper filter. Highly recommend the Lumavite bottle for purification and rehydrating the cells. So yeah, this is where I am right now with the cleansing, how I see it all tying into the collective, how I see it tying into the false matrix that's trying to regenerate itself right now. So I'm going to, this comes out a little early, but we're going to be meeting April. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's the first week of April after the eclipses. And we're going to do some deep clearing of this programming and parasitic energy. The link to sign up for that is in the show notes. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for listening. And see you guys next time for the long awaited story of my journey as I descended into the underworld. So I'm excited, a little bit nervous to have this all come out, but I'll see you guys for that next time. Love you all. And just a reminder to my chat, we are moving it to Mighty Networks. That's where all of my courses will be. Obviously, the Alchemist Codex came out. This is the foundational teachings for this deeper energy work. The next course coming out is the mental, the AI, the mind, and then the dark arts defense will come after that. But you need the foundational teachings or you're just going to get likely caught back up in the web of the false light because you're not going to have the proper tools for preparing your space, for connecting to the organic light. There's so much in there. So if you're someone who knows you really, really want to take some of these other, more advanced courses coming out, but you haven't taken any classes with me before, it's really, really important to move through this, and doing that now will give you a good amount of time to really anchor into these teachings, to practice, to allow it to transform you, because there will be transformations that happen with this first course, because we do get into the shadow, we get into the trauma, we get into these first layers of the shadow work. To be able to then go deeper, because these courses are very advanced stuff that we're working through. So I'll link that in the show notes as well. Okay, love you all. Have a beautiful day wherever you are, and I'll see you next time. Bye.